Oskar Dirlewanger, the SS butcher of Warsaw. Dirlewanger was born on 26 September 1895 in Würzburg, German Empire, son of a merchant. On 1st October 1913, Dirlewanger enlisted in the Württemberg Army, an independent contingent. During World War I, his unit fought on the Western Front, took part in the German invasion of Belgium, and then fought in France. Later, he was in charge of a company on the Eastern Front in southern Russia and Romania. He rose to the rank of lieutenant and received the Iron Cross second class and first class. After Germany surrendered, the German units in Dirlewanger's area were ordered to be interned in Romania, but Dirlewanger disobeyed orders of the Romanian government and led 600 men from his and other units back to Germany. After the end of World War I, he joined various Freikorps right-wing paramilitary militias and fought against German communists in Ruhr and Saxony and against the Polish nationalists in Upper Silesia, and also took part in the suppression of the German Revolution of 1918-19. A police report described Dirlewanger as a mentally unstable, violent fanatic and an alcoholic who had a habit of erupting into violence under the influence of drugs. On Easter Sunday 1921, Dirlewanger commanded an armored train that moved towards Sangerhausen, which had been occupied by the Communist Party of Germany militia group of Max Herz. Dirlewanger failed during the attack and was grazed on the head by a gunshot. The militias group succeeded in cutting off his force. After the latter was reinforced by pro-government troops, the communists withdrew from the town. After the Nazi Party came to power, Dirlewanger was celebrated as the town's liberator from the Red Terror and received its honorary citizenship in 1935. He also studied at the Goethe University Frankfurt and received his PhD in political science in 1922. A year later, he joined the Nazi Party and the SA, and later the SS. In 1934, Dirlewanger was convicted and sentenced to 2 years in prison for the rape of a 14-year-old girl from the League of German Girls, BDM. He was expelled from the Nazi Party, lost his job, his doctorate, and all his military honors. After 2 years in prison, he was released, but was arrested again on charges of sexual assault and was sent to the Welsheim concentration camp. After the personal intervention of his friend and senior Nazi SS official Gottlob Berger, Dirlewanger was released and reinstated in the General Reserve of the SS. Berger and Dirlewanger fought together in World War I. Berger was a longtime personal friend of the SS chief Heinrich Himmler and had become the chief of the SS head office. Dirlewanger then went to Spain, where he joined the German Condor Legion, a German unit which fought in the Spanish Civil War for 3 years, from 1936 to 1939. After his service in Spain, following Berger's intervention, Dirlewanger was cleared of the charge set against him. He was reinstated in the Nazi Party. The University of Frankfurt also reinstated his doctorate. At the start of World War II, Dirlewanger volunteered for the Waffen-SS and received the rank of lieutenant, Obersturmführer. He became the commander of the Dirlewanger Brigade, consisted of a small group of former poachers, along with soldiers of a more conventional background. Later, Dirlewanger's unit soldiers were recruited from convicted criminals, mental asylum patients, concentration camp prisoners, homosexuals. His unit was not part of the SS, but was under SS control. Dirlewanger unit was assigned to security duties in Poland, where Dirlewanger served as an SS TV commandant of a labor camp at Stary Chikov. He committed unimaginable atrocities on the camp prisoners. He would torture women undressed and whipped, injected strychnine into young Jewish women that causes a violent and painful death, and watch them die in front of him and his friends for entertainment. According to the rumor, Dirlewanger cut up Jewish women and boiled them with horse meat to make soap. The SS judge, George Morgan, began an investigation into Dirlewanger's activities in August 1942, but on Himmler's orders, no action was taken against him. Due to Dirlewanger actions, several SS commanders tried to remove him from his position and dissolve his unit, but Berger defended him several times. Berger and Himmler tolerated this behavior because they needed men like Dirlewanger in the fight against non-Aryan. In 1942, the Dirlewanger Brigade was assigned to Belarus to fight against the Soviet partisans. The Dirlewanger Brigade killed innocent civilians, raping and looting. Over 30,000 Belarusian civilians were killed. Dirlewanger's preferred method was to herd the local population inside a barn, set the barn on fire, and then shoot anyone who tried to escape with machine gun. Civilians were regularly used as human shields and marched over minefields. On 1st August 1944, the Warsaw Uprising began. SS leader Heinrich Himmler gave Dirlewanger Brigade unrestricted permission to crush the uprising. In Warsaw, Dirlewanger Brigade and Kamiński Brigade participated in the Wola massacre, killing some 40,000 innocent men, women and children in the Wola district of Warsaw. Dirlewanger burned 3 hospitals with patients inside in the Wola district. The hospital nurses were whipped, gang-raped, and hanged naked together with the doctors, while a popular German song was playing in München Steht ein Hofbräuhaus. Dirlewanger ordered his men to execute 500 children. He wanted his troops to save their bullets, so they did most of the work with rifle butts and bayonets. On 15 August 1944, Dirlewanger received his final promotion to the rank of SS Oberführer. He was awarded the Knight's Cross of the Iron Cross in October for his efforts during the uprising. His unit was sent to crush the Slovak national uprising in Slovakia and eventually to fight the advancing Red Army. As the Soviet Red Army advanced, many members of the unit defected to the Soviets. In February 1945, his unit transformed into 36th Waffen Grenadier Division of the SS. While fighting against Soviet Red Army near Guben and Brandenburg, Dirlewanger was shot in the chest and forced to leave the front. This was his 12th and last injury of the war. After rejoining the fight in the defense of Berlin, many members of the 36th unit were captured by Soviets, but Dirlewanger himself escaped and went into hiding. Dirlewanger was arrested on 1st June 1945 near the town of Altshausen in Upper Silesia by the French authorities. He was dressed in civilian clothes, using a false name and hiding in a remote hunting lodge. He was identified by a former Jewish concentration camp prisoner. Oskar Dirlewanger died on 7th June 1945 in a prison camp at Altshausen. The exact cause of Dirlewanger's death is unknown. His death certificate, issued by French authorities, stated that he died of natural causes, heart attack, and was buried in an unmarked grave, or he was beaten to death by Polish guards or former camp prisoners, or that he escaped. His fate is unknown. In November 1960, authorities arranged for the exhumation of Dirlewanger's body to confirm his identity. His burial was confirmed. During the Nuremberg trials after the war, Berger said, "Now Dr. Dirlewanger was a hardly good boy. You can't say that, but he was a good soldier, and he had one big mistake that he didn't know, when to stop drinking." Dirlewanger has been described as the most evil man in the SS. An extremely cruel person, a psychopathic killer and child molester by historians and researchers.